What is happening in the university?
It's lost its North Star, or its North Star has ceased becoming truth and becoming an ideology mill. And so, for example, the president of Portland State University has said, Stephen Percy has said that the primary, something like, I think it's at the primary mission of the organization, I think that's the quotation, but look it up, is racial justice. Really? He said this publicly, that's the primary mission of the university? Not balanced budgets, not teaching excellence, not research, that's an absolutely astonishing statement. And so, look, when you have when there is a primary purpose of an organization, every other purpose is subordinate to the primary purpose. So if there's a conflict, so for example, like in the Bible, if there's a conflict between, commandments, they're not hierarchically organized. Whereas John Rawls, okay, let me take it back. John Rawls' theory of justice has principles that are hierarchically organized. I'd like to take a moment that I've been meaning to say this for a while. I really wanted to thank Alan for this series, the dean. And I think that's, when Dean Davison even puts these things together, that's trying to change a culture in which reorients the institution's North Star toward truth, right? Toward open dialogue, toward the free of exchange of ideas. Because students are coming to the university not to deepen the beliefs they already have, but to learn, to question, to challenge, et cetera. Okay, so back to if the North Star of the institution is racial justice, then if there's a conflict, then the primary mission of the university has to trump that. So if the conflict, for example, is with free speech, then that's always subordinate to racial justice. So every time you come out and say, well, this is the primary mission of the institution is racial justice, you're basically telling people exactly what you feel about free speech. And that's what they did in the faculty resolution. And that's why they're claiming that criticism of critical race theory, for example, is harassment. Well, they have to do that because how else are they going to buttress the idea that the primary mission of the university is racial justice? And that's the other thing. That's the other thing. One more thing on that. The further one's belief is from being rationally drivable, the more slack you have to make to keep the belief in place. So, for example, if you want to forward a moral idea that is not, let's say you're forwarding an idea. Doesn't even matter what the idea, abortion, or it doesn't even matter what the idea is, and you're extremely confident that the idea is true. Like on a 1 to 10, you're 9.9 confidence, but you only have sufficient reason and evidence to get you to like a 5 or a 6. Then that slack has to be made up somehow. In the Islamic world, it would be, a blasphemy law. In the university, it would be a speech restriction or political correctness, or you can claim to be offended, but you have to, systems of belief have to make up that slack somehow.
That's a fascinating definition of what offense is. I haven't thought about it that way, but that's quite nice, isn't it? To interpret one's offendedness as a way of bridging the gap between what they can logically argue and the emotional component of their response.
Correct.
How did you get yourself into the pickle that you're in, or should I say the liberty and freedom that you now enjoy? Tell us about how your trajectory of having run-ins with academia began.
I like the latter framing much better. I'm much happier now.
I'll give you that framing if you give me a continent.
I'll give you that. I was gonna end the interview by giving you that. I'll tell my friends that immediately. And the other thing is, if anybody wants, speaking of my friends on your continent, Mike Nayna, Nayna, has a wonderful series that bridges the gap between the theoretical and the practical with his videos of Brett and Heather from Evergreen and some of the madness that's consuming the universities. But he does a meticulous job in documenting those, and they're free on YouTube. I'd highly recommend those.